So we had gone through with what is before all, what is after all, what is before each, and what is after each in the previous session. And we have also understood like how can we make a API call using Playwright. So we had we had checked for one of our post call which used to generate the token, and that token we have to use in the like subsequent test cases so that we will be able to skip the login page. Do though we have only one test case, so it will not give us lot of benefits over here. But let's say if we have 100 test cases or 200 test cases or 500 test cases at that point of time, if you can log in directly using if you can take the token before running all the test cases that we have, then it will be very helpful in terms of skipping the test cases for login, so that at least couple of seconds will be able to save for each of the test cases. And at that point of time, the test case, let's say we have a suite of 200 test cases or 500 test cases, then it will be able to minimize a lot of time for us in terms of web automation. That's where we were trying to check how do we make a call. So we had seen like it is exactly similar to how do we make a call in API, which is exactly similar to how do we call for the web like UI automation. So we had seen that in terms of UI automation, we basically make a call. We create a new context for the browser. Here we create a new context for the API. And in the browser, we create a page to launch the URL and so on. But in general, in API, we do not require any kind of page inside the browser or inside the API context to work with or to launch the browser to launch the URL. So that's where we have created directly post call. How do we know the post call? Because we have gone through with the application and saw that this particular API is making a post call and taking one of a data to get those value into at the time of login into the application by using the API. And then this will get us a token. This will respond back as a JSON format response. So we are basically interested in only getting the token value for now. So we have converted the response into JSON by using the JSON method. And from there, we are getting the token value from the response. And this token value we have to use in terms of the test cases so that we will be able to order the product without logging into the application. So first we'll try to run this and see whether it is working or not. And then we'll move further in terms of skipping the test cases. So we are just trying to run over here. And if you see it launch it basically launch login page, and then it logged in into the application. And then from there, we had gone through with checking like how did it, like it has also generated the token. Then it followed the same steps that we have written over here in terms of end-to-end test cases. Now our main goal is to remove these 3 lines of code from here, which is this one. So how do we do that? That is used for login into the application. We still have to write basically launch the URL into the browser. It's just because this is mandatory space. This is mandatory step, but we have to go through with them. But we have to launch at least the URL so that either it will go to the login page or it can directly move to the home page. Okay, but these 3 lines we'll be skipping. So how do we do that? In general, if you see in the application, whenever we try to log in into this particular application, we will see that there is, as soon as we successfully log in into the application, we'll see that it is setting up the token inside a local storage. Right. So if we see this one, it it will basically as soon as we log in into the application, you'll see that it is setting up the token inside a local storage with the token values over here. And we can also see if there are any kind of cookie value, then also cookie value will also be stored inside this particular application if there are anything available. Okay, so newly they have implemented this token that they are trying to generate it over here. In couple of days back, they have stored this as well. So let's see whether by using by only storing the local storage, whether it is able to successfully navigate to the home page or not. Okay, that we'll see in the today's session. So we have anyways completed this one. Like here, we know that it is getting us the token value. Now let's see how do we place that inside the local storage. So basically, in general, Playwright will not be able to handle this. That means Playwright will not be able to set this token inside a local variable. That is a work of JavaScript. But Playwright supports JavaScript, any kind of script that we write in the JavaScript as well. So how do we set in that case? So we have a method that Playwright has given known as add init script. Add init script says that it adds a script which will be evaluated in some of the columns. So it says that it will accept a script, and then that script will script in the sense it will take a function over here, and then it will also return some of the values, which in terms of this, it is saying that I'll return you a void. So it says that we will, this basically will accept a function with a parameter. So this that they have given a parameter, and then they are saying like, I'll just accept a function, and in this parameter that we store over here will get a value from here. That means it is taking basically a parameter over here, and then that will go as a function, and this parameter will get the value whatever we declare over here. Okay, so this function will end it over here, and after that we'll have to give the second parameter, and that second parameter will set as a value of the function. So if you see here it says that it is taking a parameter which is mark, and then writing an arrow function. This arrow function involves some kind of values which says that window.mark equals to mark, and then this mark is getting the real value from this particular second parameter. So this is first parameter which is going inside a function, and then this is second parameter. So whatever we declared inside a second parameter will set as a value of this particular parameter, the first parameter that we write it over here. Okay, so let's see how do we write. So let's say we take it as a parameter as value, which I'm just trying to write a value over here, and then we can write an arrow function. Okay, so we have just defined a parameter which I have given a name as value. You can give any other name as well. And then an arrow function. We know that if the arrow function is accepting only one parameter, then it can go that, then we can directly write like this, or there is no harm in we can write inside the parenthesis as well. Okay, so either you write in this way, or if there are only single parameter, then we can directly write with value and then write with the arrow function. Okay, and this arrow function will accept a script for JavaScript, which will store the token inside the local storage. So how do we do that? So basically, we know that this is a window. This is basically a window. And inside this window, we have to go to the local storage, and then we have to set items, right? So this is a window, right? This is browser window. This browser window. Inside that browser window, we have to go to the local storage, and then we have to set items. What items we have to set? We have to set in a key and value pair. Key will always be same. So what should be the key? So key should be the token value. Key should always remain same, which is token, and then value can be changing as well. Okay. So then we have to say here as we know, like window, then where we have to go to from window to local storage. And here we have to set item. It is very simple in terms of how they have written the methods or identifier. So it says that go to window, inside window, go to the local storage and set the item. What item we have to set? It says that set items accept key value pair. Okay. It sets the value of the pair identified by the key to value, creating a new key value pair if none existed for key previously. That means it is saying that it will, whatever the value that we provide over here, it will go and store inside a local storage. Okay. And we know that what key we have to set. We have to set a key as a token, and what value, whatever the value, it will, this value will have. Okay, so we know that where this value will get the real value from. So this value, this is a parameter. So we are saying that key as a token, which we will be getting from the application, whatever the key that we have to use, either authorization or token will be the key value over here. Okay. And then we have to, what kind of value? So whatever the parameter that we have given, that will set as a value. So where this value will get the real value from, that we have to provide it over here as a second parameter. And that value, we know that as we are getting the token from the API, so we can store it over here as a value. This second parameter will go and set for this particular, the real parameter that we have defined inside a function. Whatever the value will come for the token, it will go to the value, and then it will set the value in the local storage of the browser as a token and then value. So what this value will be, this value will come from the token. Okay, any doubt over here?
No problem.
Okay, great. So that's the thing. So we have like placed our values, like whatever we wanted to set inside the local storage. This is how we set the like any kind of keys and value pair inside a local storage. Now I've commented like these three lines of code, and let's see whether it is moving us to the login page or it is skipping the login page. Let's try to run the same code and we'll see whether it is moving us to the login page or home page. So launch the URL. Place something else as well inside that. Okay. So recently they have implemented other things as well over here. As we have seen, I just saw that. And yesterday it was not there, which is like XSRF token. Let me see if that is the case. Then we'll store other things as well. Let me try to check it out once. So go to the, this thing I see as a new today itself. I just saw that XSRF token is implemented. No, it's based on that we can change our script as well. So go to the incognito mode to local stories. Inside this, set a token. Let's say the token that we are trying to set is the same one. Here we'll set a token which is this one. Then if we try to load this, it's taking us to the dashboard in a proper way. Okay. It has to work. It has to work properly over here as well. Now you see here that we have done a page.add in it. And then we are trying to set up this and this token. We have already storage token. We are getting it from the values. Okay. Let's try to check it once more. Just the issue. It's still taking us to the login page. Okay. So whenever we do, okay, let me just modify. Let me see what it is saying is. It is taking us to the page and then there it is not able to find out. Into this select web API part 3.spec.js. Here we can copy the same part. API part. Just this one. Everything. Let's remove this. And I'm going to that position. And we start. Browser context. Just give me a minute. I'll debug why it is not working. And then we'll check it out. So, no context. As we know that the storage system will be on the context. So what we can do is, so this total storage will be on the window level, which is context level. And then we can say state storage. For this, it will accept a path which will go inside this, which is the path colon. Let's say state dot JSON. And then set this inside. And here we can create a browser and create the same things over here as well with the value that we have stored over here as a storage state. And then this will accept a value inside of curly braces. What value? So whatever the value that we are trying to generate. So this one another way where we can write to skip the login page. Let's see how it is working out here. So here what we are trying to do is we are trying to set all the values, whatever the values we'll have in storage state. So it will set local storage as well as cookie value. Let's see, for the first time it will fail, but let's see how it is working. I'll explain you in a bit. So it's not the okay. Okay. So we have missed providing the await option. We have to provide the await option as well. Please have to go to so it should be in time. So here it says that please state Bluetooth is not a condition. This is this agree. All these issues are happening because we write either we miss await or we write the await in a wrong way. So here if you see this had successfully passed. Now if you see it has also generated a state.json. So what did we do here is I'll explain the previous part, but this is the second part we where we are trying to get all the storage values that after the login into the application it is trying to set. Okay. So after logging into application, if they are trying to set inside the application, if they are trying to set some other values as well, as in this case, I see this is as a newly implemented, which is XSRF token that they are trying to set inside a cookie value. But what uh, what in any of the application, either they will generate a token value or they'll generate a combination of like local storage value and cookies value. So at that point of time, if you have to get the complete details of the local storage and cookies value so that we can directly set in the first, uh, so that we can directly set in the local storage and cookies. So how do we do that? Like if we have to set like both local storage and cookies value, that we are trying to do using a context over here. So what did we do? We have like normally logged in into the application, and then we are trying to get the complete value of the storage. So when I select complete value, whatever the value it is trying to set inside a local storage and cookies. Okay, so that we are trying to get using a context. We know that this, whatever the local storage or cookies that they'll store at context level, not the page level, right? So this is, if you go to, this is a context level, right? If you go to a new page and then you go inside the application, you will see nothing will be stored over here because we have not even launched the application. So if you see, there is no URL that we have provided over here. But if you just try to launch this particular application, you will see like it has automatically moved to the dashboard page, like home page. Why? Because it has automatically set this application, these storage like local storage and cookies. That's where we can understand that the storage, whatever the storage are there, it is applicable on the context level, not on the page level. Page is, all these are a new page over here inside a browser. Okay, so that is where we are trying to use context, which is creating a new browser, initiating a new context for the browser. And from there, we are trying to store a complete value of local storage and cookies. So if you see, hover on this, it says that it takes a function. It basically takes, it basically takes a parameter which will go inside a curly braces. So what parameter it is trying to check? It is saying that I need a path. So this particular key you have to provide it over here as a path, and then any value that you can set it. I have given like state.json. So as soon as this runs properly, it will create a state.json file over here. If you click on this, you can see that it is not having any kind of cookie value, but whatever the local storage value it is having, it is able to set it over here. That means it is able to get the value. So we know that there is a token and the value that it displays, right? If you go to the method that we have used over here on the context, which is known as storage state, it is basically returning us what it is returning. It is returning cookies as a key and value pair, which is like name, value, domain, and so on, if there are any cookies set inside the application. And then it will also return us a local storage. What, how, how they will, return us local storages in a key value pair. So key, it says that name, what is the name that we have? Name as a token, and then value. What is the value? The token value that it is trying to generate. So if you see the definition, it says that whenever we use storage state, it returns storage state for this browser context contains current cookies and local storage snapshot. Okay. And now if we have to skip the login page, now let's say if you have to skip the login page, we have to create a browser context with this particular values that we have generated over here, that we have received from the storage state method. Okay, so whenever we create a new browser context, in the initial stage, I told you like when do we use browser and when do we use page fixture. So this is one place where we have to use a browser context, because we are saying that create a browser context with some kind of local storage and cookie values. Okay, in general, if you see the definition of new context, it says that it create a new browser context. It won't share any cookies or cache with other browser context, right? That means it will create a fresh page, which will be in incognito mode. If we have to create a browser with some predefined value, then we have to give that inside a new context method. Okay, and that will go again inside a curly braces. So if you see this one, that will go again inside a this is saying like whatever the option that you have to give, you can directly give, and that will go inside a It has not given answer, but any example that will go inside a curly braces that we have to set. So what are we trying to set over here? We are trying to set the complete storage value, which consists of cookies as well as the local storage. Okay. So in this way, what we have to do is, in this way, we have to first log in into the application, get the complete picture of local storage and cookies. And from the next test case onwards, we can use that particular, uh, mm, the value that we have received for the local storage and cookies. We can give inside new context. So whenever a new page or new context will be created, they will be pre-filled with, they'll set the local storage and cookies with these value. Now you might be wondering like, okay, here in terms of this, we have just used a key value pair and that we were trying to set inside a local storage. Here we are just trying to set one particular value. If you again have to set another value, then you have to give a comma and then again, whatever the value, let's say token, which will get a value again, let's say some kind of value. So then again, you have to do in this way by just writing inside an array. Okay. Whereas again, you have to give here key for the second. And let's say if you have 100, basically, let's say if you have 100 parameters that you have to set, 100 types of cookies or local storage value that you have to set. Will you be doing like 100 times key value pair? No, right? In general, what we'll be doing is we will get the value. We will in general get the complete value in a file, and that file we can provide it over here. So that is what we are trying to do. So if you see this state.storage, it is having a local storage, which is a single value. Cookie is nothing, and then some other values. Like in general, in let's say if you are trying to work in a banking application, banking finance application, or insurance application, they'll have a lot of cookies value and they'll have a lot of local storage values. So at that point of time, currently we have only one value. That storing inside a local stage is okay. But let's say if we have 100 values, 100 parameters, at that point of time, setting single values will be a difficult task. So there we can store inside a file by using storage state system that we have used, like storage state method. And that value, whatever the value we received inside a file, the same file value you have to give over here with a key, which is predefined as storage state. Okay. And then let's say if you try to run it again, we'll see that it will directly move to the, it will basically directly move to the like context dot close. So here we are trying to close the browser, the previous browser that will be open in the before all. And from, you can skip it as well, as Playwright will automatically take care of. And here we are trying to set the complete storage value that we have received. So saying that open with this so that it will automatically skip the login page. Okay, let's try to see whether it is correctly happening. Any doubt over here?
No, Praveen. Praveen, one query over here. Say, for example, in general, in the real time, in the most of the time, we'll be using API for Playwright, or without API also we can.
Without API also. Without API also. So this is one way where we can skip the login page at any point of time. Like at every step. If we have to skip the login page, we can basically follow this so that we'll get the local, but this is not mandatory.
Okay.
Okay, we can follow as we were following for like going through with the proper login page and so on. In general, most of the application nowadays will try to validate login page, validate the login page once, and then we can get some kind of value using the API, and then we can directly jump to the home page.
Oh.
But that is again not mandatory. Most of the companies, most of the organization still will go through with, for all the test cases, they'll go through with the login page as well.
Oh,
Okay. But this my actually task to, provide you the complete details, like how can you skip these kind of things and so on.
okay.
Even if I do not include in the course, there will be no harm because this is a part of API. But just wanted to make sure that the people have, like, the understanding of all these things as well, so that they can they can do some kind of part in terms of if they have to go through with web API kind of.
Okay.
Okay. So this is just an extra part, but not related to the web application. Okay. So here we have here you have seen that whenever it started the executing the uh, test case, it directly moved to the home page. Let's see once more time. The first time it will try to log in into the application. It will get the complete storage system. It will close, and then it started. See, we can see directly it has directly moved to the home page. That means it is working successfully over here in terms of using storage state. Here, this is the exact step that we have to write. Let me figure it out. Like I'll check it out why it is not working. There is no change as well. In terms of this, it should have to work. So whenever let me check if my other application is working in a proper way. So here we'll go to the place order that we have done, that like we have gone through with the complete details of this. Here we are also trying to do the same thing. Let me try to run this particular test where we say that test this is where it be. This is from the another session that I'm taking. And we have done the same part over there a couple of weeks back. Js. So if we try to see, it is generating. And then here you can see that it is working properly. So it is taking us to the directly home page. I have set it, I believe, like mobile version. Let me set it out with Google Chrome. This is the same. Same code that we have written in our web part one as well. So here we are doing the API context, loading the application, calling a post API, then loading the values, and then we are getting the token. And we have written the similar kind of step where we are saying that page.add in it. What value we have to store inside a local storage in a key value pair. The key is token, and then value that it is getting from the token over here. Okay, and right. So here we're doing this exactly same things. There is no difference between, like, the two methods, the two file that I'm trying to show. This I have like executed a couple of weeks back, but let's see whether here it is working. Let's see whether it is working properly over here or not. The steps are same. There is no difference at all. Sometimes my Visual Studio Code gives us some problem if I do not restart the system. So it is going, see, this is what the problem Visual Studio Code gives me sometimes. Earlier we saw like it started in headed mode, but now it has gone in a headless mode. See, it directly moved to the dashboard. It did not go to the login page, right? So this is working fine. I'll see it like why it is not working over here, because we have written the same code. There's no difference at all. And probably let me restart. Let me restart this one. I have already shared all the codes inside in the GitHub as well. You can copy from there also.
Okay.
So this is the same code. There is no difference if I take this token. Let me check it out where this token is going to. Now if I see this token is moving to this. This token is also able to accept this one. And now let's see, try to run this once and see what is happening. So still coming back to no worries. I'll check this out. But the same code, it was able to run successfully in other windows. For this, I'll check why it is not working in our browser. But the main concept is the same that we are trying to do in both of the things. So if you see this one, we are again trying to do the post, which is like again same. It is accepting the data. It is also accepting the same values that it is trying to. It is also providing us the token if we had seen. And then we are doing the same operations that we are trying to do over here. So it has replaced missing. Okay. No. So the same part we are trying to do over here as well. So if you see, this is like the same thing we are trying to do, which is like creating a new context. Whatever we are trying to do over here, which is like creating a new context, then API context.post, loading with this one, getting the token, and then we are saying that create it inside this one. Sometimes what happen is like if we forget like await, that might also give a problem. Let's try to use with await and see whether it is properly handling or not. So it is returning us a token value. Right. So there was a problem with the await. This kind of problem will happen. This kind of problem will happen in terms of await. Like sometimes it will directly start running any kind of code, and sometimes it will try to run some other part, some other values wherever we have not given await. So this is the major problem that will happen in terms of going through with the Playwright or JavaScript. That is where it is suggestible to use everywhere the await keyword wherever we see this. Okay. So the problem was not with our script. The problem was only with the await keywords. So to make it safe our code everywhere, you can try to use await on all the steps. Okay, and then it started working fine. So as soon as I provide the await over here, it started working fine. Sometimes it happened, but sometimes in the previous run we saw that we did not even use. If I try to show it over here, so you see like I've not used like await key over here, but still that is working fine. So that happens sometimes, like if the application is slow or if it is taking a loading time for few seconds, then it might go to the next page trying to check like these particular things, but it is still waiting for application to load. That's where we have to provide await so that complete the steps and then move to the next step. Okay. So this is all about, understanding the complete API and how can we check the API, like how can we skip the login page by storing either inside a local storage or by using this particular one where we have seen that take the complete value of local storage and uh, cookies value inside a file, and that file we can set it in from the next test case onwards. You might be wondering like, okay, we have only one test case, so it is working. You can write it another test cases as well, and you will see that like it will directly move us to the next page as well over here. So if you directly like let dummy test case, we just launch the application and wait for, let's say, page dot wait for timeout for, let's say, a couple of seconds. We'll wait and then we'll close the system. So we have given like two over here. In both of the system, we are trying to set the storage state that we have gotten from the method that we have used over here. Okay, so the same file I'm trying to store at the time of creating the new context in the first test case as well as in the second test case. So how many number of the test case that you provide, we have to create it over here. And we have to store it inside a new context. So now if you try to run this, it will basically launch two of the test case, and then both of the test will directly take us to the home page. So see, first time, which one it has run. We have given web part 1. This is web part 3. So if we see here, it will try to run first, like before all. We know that before all will run before running each and every test cases. And then after all will run after running each and every test cases. So if we see this over here, okay, this is the exact same name we have given. So it says that whenever you have a duplicate test case name, it will fail this. So it says that duplicate test title, place order and validate it. We have to give the title a unique for each and every test case. And obviously the test case will be unique for each and every single value. So first time it is trying to log in, and now see, it will directly take us to the dashboard. This is for the first test case, it is taking us to the dashboard. For the second test case, it launched and it directly moved to the dashboard. We can see that, and then it closed it. So 2 test case, 2 pass. So in the same way, if we have like, let's say 100 test cases, then it is always better, to get the validation for the using API, and then it will be able to skip the login test case. In the same way, this is like, this is basically we have only 2 test case, but if in general, if you have, let's say 4 test case or 5 test cases, then you will be able to understand the value of this. So I'm just trying to give some random title for the test case. And if you try to see, now you'll see like it will directly take us to the dashboard page. So at least a couple of seconds for each test case, we will be able to save without logging into the application. So see, it will directly take us to the dashboard and do some kind of operations, whatever it has to do. Okay, now again it will launch. Okay, it has launched the dash. Again launch, and it will directly take us to the dashboard. And we are doing nothing over here. Okay, so everything have been completed, like 4 test cases have been passed within 32 seconds. Okay, so this is what the importance of the API, like web API. When we say like web API, that means API, we are taking the help of API inside the web application. Okay, so that's about like, how can we take the help of API. Second thing, what I wanted to discuss in today's session is so we have, okay, both of the things I think we have discussed. We have already discussed the storage system that we can take it, that we can map it over here inside the web application 3. This is like storing the stage, and then this is where we are trying to store the local storage, only the local storage part. Here we are trying to store all the local storage as well as the cookies value. Okay, if you see this state.json, it is displaying us a cookie value as well, though it is having no value, but it is trying to display us a cookie value as well. Okay, so that is it about the API in terms of Playwright. From tomorrow onwards, we'll go through with the framework. Okay, so in terms of framework, again, we have, it will take like a couple of days. First, we have to understand the framework, and then we basically have to set up like page object model. Whatever we have done over here, whatever we have done in terms of end-to-end automation, that we will arrange in terms of the page object model. Okay, so that we'll see from the next session onwards. Any question for today's session?
No, Praveen.